word good is a very small and simple word, and one that we use many times every day of our lives. And yet, when you go to research that word and figure out what it really means, you find out that the simple little word good stands for a whole array of words out of Greek and Hebrew and other languages. And it's a word that covers an awful lot of ground. So I'll try to give just a little insight into what the Bible means when it uses the word good. The passage I always think of when it comes to the meaning of good is that passage in Romans 7, and yet that can sometimes be the most confusing passage of all. The good that I would, I do not. The evil that I would not, that I do. I confess that there is within me a will to do that which is good, but I observe that there is another law at work within me which causes me to not be able to do the good, but to choose. And if it is not me who wills to do that which is evil, but that which is good, then it is no longer. Holy smokes, you think, Paul, thanks for clarifying that matter for us. I have a little story that explains what Paul was trying to say. I realize I have a lot of gall to think that I will tell things more clearly than the Apostle Paul, but see, I tell things in simple carnal terms that may be useful to you. I think I've told this story before, but it's one of my favorite stories about what it means to want to do good, but instead to choose that which is evil. One year on our way home from Nova Scotia, I was so mad at myself because normally I live my life according to a very strict and almost military diet and exercise regime, but when I'm on vacation, everything just falls apart. And I was so mad that I had gained weight through this summer, and I said to myself as I was getting ready to go home, from now on I'm back on that strict routine. I will have discipline and I will do what is good. And on the way home, we stopped at one of those old Ponderosa restaurants. So you know where the story is going already. And true to my good intentions, I ordered the smallest steak possible and a baked potato. I hate baked potatoes. And I felt very righteous and good. And as I was paying the cashier, she said to me, "Shrimp for a penny?" And I said, "Pardon me?" I didn't know. She said, "Shrimp for a penny?" And I said, "What do you mean by that?" And she says, "Can't you see the sign?" She says, "With any entree you buy this week, if you pay an extra penny, you can have all the shrimp you can eat." Of course, my righteous indignation rose up within me, and I said to her, "No, thank you. I'm on a diet, and you cannot tempt me with all the shrimp you can eat for a penny." And I began to move along in the line. And then just out of curiosity, I turned back at her and said, "How are those shrimp cooked?" She said, "Well, they are breaded and lightly seasoned, and they have just a very light batter on them, and they're deep fried." And then I thought to myself, in fact, to have all the shrimp you can eat for a penny is such a good bargain, it would be a sin not to get them. And I could get shrimp for a penny, and I could have 4 or 5, and that is seafood after all. It's healthy. So I said, "Oh, I've changed my mind. I want the shrimp for a penny." So fine, she says, and I go to the table and I'm sitting down eating my lunch, and the waitress came with the basket of shrimp and said, "Would you like some of these shrimp, sir?" And I said, "Yes, but just 4 or 5. I'm on a very strict diet here. So she gave me shrimp and came back 5 minutes later. "Would you like some more shrimp?" And I was quite annoyed with her. She knew that I was on this strict regimen, and I said, "All right, another 4 or 5, and that's it! I have no more after that." But she didn't listen. She came back again. "Would you like..." And of course, by that point, everything had fallen apart, my willpower and my goodness. And I said, "Just leave the basket here." And she said, "I can't do that, sir. There are 9 other people in this restaurant who are also having shrimp for a penny." So I reached into my pocket, pulled out a dime, and said, "Here, give them their money back and bring me all the shrimp in the restaurant." I was going to do a George Costanza and keep eating shrimp until the ocean had run out of them. That's what the Apostle Paul was trying to say when he said, "The good that I would, I do not. The evil that I would not, that I do." He recognized that there was within us 2 laws at work. The one that knows exactly what goodness is and really wants to do it, but this other law that is carnal that makes us do what is evil. I have this great fear that when I get to the gates of heaven, I'm going to show God the list of all the good things I have done in my life. And the Lord is going to say, "That's great, Mark, but I have over here the list of all the good things you didn't do." And the latter outweighs the former. We sort of know what goodness is. But just so you have a dictionary definition, at least a biblical dictionary definition, I want to point you to some Hebrew and Greek sources so you have an understanding of why we have this one word that stands for so much. In the Hebrew, there is a word tov, and it means pleasant, joyful, and agreeable. The other Hebrew word we translate as good is kara, which means appropriate.